All right, let's talk about autism and sexuality. In this video, I'm going to cover a lot of the misconceptions, but also some ways to help you if you are wanting to get intimate or you're wanting to make sure that you get the best out of your intimacy with your partner and you're on the autism spectrum. Don't go anywhere. It's all coming up. Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Aspie world. My name is Dan. I have autism and ADHD. Now, if you're new around here and you're new to this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button by clicking the notification bell down below. And give this video a like if you feel like it is helping you. Okay, so I wrote a book called Autism for Adults. It became an international bestseller in the US, Canada, and UK back in 2023. I think I released it. Now, the cool thing was I talk about autism in relationships, right? Because I am in a relationship and I have been in other relationships. And what's really interesting is the amount of people who kind of, this is two things. One is that people don't understand the difficulties or the sensory issues, or maybe some of the thought processes of autistic individuals and their sexuality and sexual intimacy in general. And then the other thing is that a lot of people think because you're classified as a disabled person, you're an autistic disabled person, you're not going to be capable of wanting to have intimacy or even have sex. I just wanted to say today's video is sponsored by Bellesa. Now, Bellesa is a bi-woman company whose mission is to help with everything sexual wellness, right, in the world. Now, one of the most interesting things about Bellesa is that they have these silent vibe toys. My friends at Bellesa have the best deal ever. They're going to be sending out a free vibrator or a gift card for a vibrator of your choice to everybody who signs up to the campaign. Now, I'm going to leave the giveaway link in the description of this video so you can go through to that. Now, if you're watching on any other platform, just make sure you go through to my YouTube channel and find this video talking about autism and sexuality. Now, I am going to just show you a little quick overview of some of the products that they sent me to show you guys, because I know that most of you watching are probably female. Okay, so the Pebble is a suction vibrator controlled independently. So it's ergonomically built to fit perfectly in your hand. And as you can see in these little clips, the newest edition of the Pebble Pro is the next gen power, and it's a longer, stronger, more powerful motor for deeper and more satisfying sensations, right? Now, the next one is the Air Vibe. This is a dual simulator G-spot and clit stimulator, which it comes with most discreet casing. Again, it's super discreet and it's waterproof, it's rechargeable, and it's silent, right? This is really interesting for autism and sexual health, is because if you're an autistic person and you want access to silent vibrators, because this noise could also impact you, because this is what we're going to talk about in this video. So the next one is called the Flutter Vibe. This one is a dual stimulated G-spot and clit stimulator. It stimulates and experiences of a human tongue, but with an added precision, so mimicking the sensation of oral pleasure, so as you can see in these videos. It comes in the most discreet casing, it's waterproof and rechargeable, and it's powered by a discrete series of technology. So it's like very, very cool. Again, this thing is pretty amazing, and I know you guys are going to love it. Okay, so make sure you check out the link down below. If you want a vibe for free or you want a gift card to use at the Bellesa store, you can do. Make sure to check out the link in the description. Let's get on with the video. Me and my partner have 5 children between us. It's a blended situation. People think, oh, wow, you guys are parents and we're both autistic. So my partner's autistic and I'm autistic. And we both have ADHD. And what's really interesting is that it gives lots of insight into kind of like, what are the things that are on the spectrum struggle with? What are the things that people on the spectrum have issues and difficulties with when trying to become intimate? Because intimacy is not just kind of like, you know, wham, bam, thank you, mom. There's a lot more into that. You know, there's feelings and connections and touch and sounds. So I'm going to go through all the things. What I did is I went through my book and I listed out some key areas where we can talk about the areas that may impact you. And like I said before, autism comes with sensory processing disorder. And what that means is basically like sight, smell, sounds, temperature, textures, even feeling close to somebody. Now, there is different experiences, and I've had different experiences with different people, and I know this from my current partner. She tells me the same thing. Like, I like the touch of my current partner to an extent where it doesn't irritate me or bother me at all. If we're touching too much, I never get touched out. And we have a special connection, hence why we're together. But I have been with other people where too much touch is overpowering and it's too overwhelming for me, and I don't enjoy that connection as much. So how do we navigate this world? Another thing is that if you're wanting to become intimate, you can't just simply think everything is going to be as you want it, because the temperature, the feeling of your clothes, the feeling of the other person's skin, the smell of them, the smell of you, the smell of the room, the lighting in the room, all of these things could really disrupt how you are in that moment. So I've got some ideas, right? And this is kind of like a sensory consent menu, but it's not more of a consent menu. It's more of a kind of like how to plan things out. How do you get this? How do you get the most out of it without kind of upsetting the other person? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to upset the person who you're going to want to kind of be in a relationship with, and they don't want to kind of upset you, and you don't feel left out, right? So the first thing to do is make a yes and no list. Okay, so this is basically you try and make a list of like touch, pressure, temperature, and fabrics, sounds, and scents. So you do this without any intimacy. So basically, you make a 1 to 10 pressure scale, right? So for example, you would have a really simple thing like, oh, hey, hugs are about a 7, right? I can deal with that because I like, full pressure. Like I don't like soft touch. So hugs are about a 7, back rubs about a 3, and then you can see how different types of touch can shock your system, because what happens is, say you're wanting to become intimate with somebody and then you start becoming intimate, but you've got sensory processing disorders for light touch and they lightly guide past you, it's going to make you jump, or it's going to make you feel a certain way. And that's not something you want, right? You want to avoid that at all costs. So you create these clarity on the matters of touch, right? So you're thinking, okay, so you have predetermined kind of do's and don'ts. They know that you like, firm touch. They know that you, I don't know, don't like hugs, or you don't like back rubs or feet rubs. I don't know. It's whatever's personal to you. Now, I would say that you script 2 sentences that would say, like, every time, you want to have intercourse, you'd be like, hey, here's what this makes me feel like, if it's good or if it's bad, right? So it's kind of like, I want to avoid this tonight because maybe you want to engage in intercourse because obviously we're humans and we want that need, but maybe you don't want lots and lots of kissing, or maybe you don't want lots and lots of like smells or candles or anything. You just want it like the room temperature and the lighting to be the same. So it's kind of like, hey, here's what I want to avoid tonight, or here's what I would like to do tonight, right? And if you say those needs, the other person will say to you, well, here's what I want, or here's what I need tonight. And so then you can come to a compromise in the middle, which is exactly what you want in a relationship. Because what you don't want is to have an avoidance of intimacy, because intimacy is a key part to a solid foundation of a good relationship. So do a quick 5 minutes like scene scan, like just have a quick scene, like, what are the lights like? What's the noise like? Do we have music on? Do we not have music on? Do I want music on? Is there strong smells? Does somebody light a candle? Is there an oil we're using? The comfort depends on your needs, right? And so maybe you want no smells, a cold room, and all the lights off, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that you need to communicate this to the person. Then the other person needs to also communicate their needs to you, because it is a joint partnership, right? And so you simply just make a quick check sheet of all the things that you like and you don't like. And then once you know about your kind of scene, about like your touch or whatever, you can then do a thing where you have like a pause word, or so say maybe you're engaging in intercourse and you're, getting ready and you're doing stuff, but there's something off. Maybe you wanted music at the beginning, but now the music's putting you off. Now, it'd be a heck of a shame if the other person felt like you weren't into it because of them, when it would have been an environmental factor like the music, or that it's too hot in the room, or there's a certain smell in the room. Maybe you kind of like went for a shower and then the smell of the shampoo or something is kind of like coming into the room. So it's always important to make sure that if there is anything there, you need these kind of code words, right? And so I have this also in a relationship for communication, where if my partner's busy, because of rejection sensitivity, if I message her and she can't message me back, I worry like, oh my goodness, maybe I upset her. But rather than me worry, she just sends me an emoji symbol that we've agreed upon, that I know that she's just busy. So I'll speak to her when she's ready. It's like a loading, pending, I'm busy, I'll message you later. So have a word or a phrase that you use if you need to just stop and rehash something, right? Because it's so important. We don't think about these things, but it's important, because autism at its core is a communication disorder, a communication issue. So we need to communicate our needs in a way where both parties will understand each other. So I said about doing the you check out the noise or the sounds in the room, then low lights, a cool room or hot room or whatever you want, right? Get everything right. Get the sheets right, get everything right. And then you agree on a simple word, like it could be, hey, pause for a sec. or whatever it is, right? Just to make a small change to the environment so that you don't lose yourself in it, right? So rejection can be difficult for relationships, right? And so to help explain this, you want to be able to be upfront and be like, hey, if you know, if it's a new relationship or even if it's an ongoing relationship, this could help improve the way in which your sexuality and the time you have with that person actually increases in its potential. Because like I said, it's the core value of everything. Now, it may not work with every single person, but it will work with many people, and those people are going to get a lot of benefit from this. Okay. So I would also say do a 10-minute pre-check together before intimacy, just adjusting, one thing at a time and then retry. Like you're going to find something that works for you. But in order to find that thing that works for you, you have to test things, right? If you don't test something, then you'll never know. And so I would also say build a pressure plan. So you start with firm touch, and then, I like firm touch, and then maybe if I'm having, a lot of firm touch, then soft touch isn't too much of an issue. And that's really interesting because we are complex creatures as humans, but we're even more complex when we have an autism spectrum disorder, right? So, you know, starting with firm and then going on to, light touch if it triggers you, then edit it out of the system. But then maybe, you want to not have hugs or you don't want to like lay next to somebody. There's a lot of things that come into it. So all I'm saying is that make a pressure plan. Say, hey, this is the type of pressure I like. This is the type of pressure I don't like. And if the person's cool with it, then you go, okay, cool. And I guess that there are going to be some compromises where you'll be like, okay, well, maybe we'll have to figure something out, right? If the person doesn't want to, doesn't like hard pressure and then like soft touch, but you do like the opposite, it could become difficult, but you just eradicate those things from your intimacy, right? And it's really interesting because I found that the more you communicate before intimacy, the more honestly and upfront you are with stuff, then there's no ambiguity. There's no kind of going back to somebody. You can't be like, oh, I didn't know you didn't like this. There may be some things that will arise that you didn't know of, but then you share it afterwards, or if you say, hey, I didn't realize I wasn't really into this. Let's go forward and do something else. So practice non-asexual touch first. This is a really good tip. So why not have a 15-minute kind of play around that's non-sexual, but you can touch each other where, holding hands or sitting next to somebody, you're skin to skin. Because what happens when your skin touches another person's skin, especially if you, pheromonically interested in that person, is you'll have a release of something called oxytocin, which is going to make you feel really, really good. But if you're touching skin with somebody and you're not getting the oxytocin, it could be down to the pressure of that. It could be like if that light touch is not doing it or hard touch is not doing it, maybe you need light touch and that kind of stuff. So I would say that you start with just testing the boundaries of what kind of touch you're into, do that for about 15 minutes and have a stop signal, be like, okay, I don't like this, but it's not to offend the other person. It's just to kind of make them aware of your needs, right? Your specific needs. And so an example of this would be like 3 minutes of squeezing somebody's hand, and then agreed pressure, and then you measure that, and then 2 minutes of rest. So between, and then you can repeat this. And so once you both match the pressure, and this sounds kind of very complex, thinking, oh my goodness, all this complexity for just intimacy, but it's important because a lot of people don't cover this and we don't talk about it. And I think intimacy is such an important part of any relationship with autism, right? So one of the things that we never do is maybe like a debrief afterwards. So after intimacy, I would say always debrief with questions like, hey, was that okay? Or was it too much? Is there anything you'd like to change for next time? Keep it short, very direct, very open and honest. As long as you're open, as long as you're wanting and willing to do and improve the conditions of the intimacy between you, you're going to be fine. And I'd say always do this, right? So you have a quick overview is that you make, your yes, no, and try, right? So temperatures, fabrics, sounds and stuff. So yes, I like this. No, I don't like that. Maybe I'll try this. And then you do your, trial touching pressure beforehand. You do a quick scenery scout around. You set everything up as much as you can. And then afterwards, just have a tiny debrief. I know it sounds more like an operation rather than intimacy, but you want to make sure that you get it right. Because what will happen is as you do this once and then maybe twice and 3 times, and then the 3rd time, you're going to know what you like, what you don't like, and how to maneuver around that. And so this is what I would do. Now, if you want all of what I spoke about in a nice uniformed pattern or a sheet or PDF, then just go to the link down in the description down below, and I'll leave it as I'll just put PDF from video, and I'll link it so you can go and download it, and you can go through this at your own pleasure, leisure, and time. Don't forget, guys, if you are interested in the campaign, make sure to check out Belissa. They are giving away a free vibrator or a gift card for one on their website. All you have to do is get in on the giveaway. Go to the link in the description down below. It's gonna be awesome, guys. Peace.